Board of Education for Wednesday, August 3rd, 2016 to order. Mr. Aho, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Felber?
Here.
Mr. Solera?
Here.
Mr. Curtis?
Present.
Mrs. Davis?
Here.
Mrs. Turl-Waldron?
Here.
And we are all present. If you could all please now rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Again, good evening and welcome. This is the meeting of the Board of Education for August 3rd, 2016, and I am Rob Felber, and I'm honored to be your board president. Your board and administration recently held a work session discussing the financial future of the district. Continued discussions are planned with you, our district community. If you'd like to participate in a focus group, please contact Superintendent Powers. There's also been much discussion about our recently completed year-long facility assessments. I brought visual aids. Now, note that I use the word assessment. The data presented is just that, data. No plans are pending until the board and administration further study the data. And, as with the finances, we want to hear from the community in a planned, strategic, and open forum. Let me also reinforce, as always, our focus of the board on our fiduciary responsibilities. This continues to be a difficult fiscal forecast, especially with the permanent elimination of the tangible personal property tax. The permanent elimination of the TPP will account for over $6 million in lost revenue for our district. Your board and administration will continue to monitor and make recommendations on the fiscal health of the district. And now I will turn the meeting over to Mrs. Powers for the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Felber. Good evening, Board of Education. Good evening, residents and parents who are with us this evening. It is an exciting time in our school district. Back in May, I told the Board of Education ending the school year was like bringing the plane in for a landing, and now the engines are starting, and we're almost ready to take off. And we have principals back. We have our administrative secretarial staff is back. Of course, our maintenance and grounds crew have been here all summer. Janitors have been here, and our buildings are looking in top ship shape, whatever. They're looking great.
They look good.
And,
They look good.
I better stick with my plane analogies, right? But anyhow, things are really, really pulling together very nicely, and we're very excited about the beginning of the school year. Something new this year in our Transportation Department Board of Education, Mr. Brunton and Miss Abbott, our transportation administrators, have been working really hard to add efficiencies to that department. They finished with the routing a couple weeks back, and all of the routes have now been driven a couple of times. And where there were adjustments that needed to be made, they've made those adjustments. And so we're pretty confident that when we start the first day of school on August the 17th, our routes are going to go quite smoothly because we've worked out some of the kinks. With the construction that's going on here in town, we were a little bit concerned about closed roads and such. So we're working through those things. And I'm very pleased with the progress down in transportation. They've had a very, very good summer and have gotten a lot of great things done. Parents, you can expect the transportation routes to be mailed during next week, the week of August 8th. And once you receive that information, if you have questions, please give our transportation department a call. Better to do that sooner rather than later if there's a question or a concern about something. Mr. Brunton and Mrs. Abbott and Mrs. Vadine and the staff there really want to resolve those problems before day one of school, and so your communication to them is very important. Board of Education, as you know, our parents received our back-to-school mailer this week, and in that was important information about our new InfoSNAP initiative and our SNAP codes. As of earlier this afternoon, I understand that more than 530 parents have now accessed the system and have started to submit information for the new school year. So I certainly do appreciate that. We've had a couple of calls to the board office with just some minor questions. We were able to answer them, and we're on our way. So thank you, parents, for accessing that information and submitting things. And again, if you have any questions, the letter had contact information for you that you can give us a call with those particular questions. Also, Board of Education, I expect that our annual calendar and annual report will be in homes middle of next week. It's a fabulous document. It's very inclusive, lots of great information about our school district and our schools, and of course our stars, the students. And so look forward to that arriving in your home mailbox probably the middle of next week. Board of Education, exciting news from Samuel Bissell Elementary School. I'm very pleased to let you know that for the third straight year in a row, 100% of our students have met the requirements of the third grade reading guarantee. So we're very, very proud of our kids. They're all headed over to George G. Dodge as fourth graders. And I thank our parents for their support. I thank our students for working so hard. And of course, our diligent efforts of our staff at Bissell. And you know, that really does start at Wilcox. So straight on through, our focus on literacy is paying dividends here. Board of Education, as you know, this is a big weekend in Twinsburg. This is Twins Day Festival weekend, and this marks the 41st annual Twins Day Festival. This year, the theme is Twins Days, Twinfinity, and Beyond. I can hardly wait to see the costumes at the parade this year. It should be quite the event. And we welcome all of our Twins Days visitors, and we hope that you have a great time here in our community, and we look forward to seeing you around town here the next several days. Board of Education, I sent you a little information earlier today, but just so everyone else knows, our tennis courts are just about finished. One last piece would be to have the new bleachers installed in the first main court, and that should be done within the next day or so. So we're going to have a ribbon cutting ceremony on Monday, August 15th at 3 o'clock at the tennis courts. That will precede the game there. It'll be the first game of the season, I believe, against Normandy. And we look forward to a nice crowd just to celebrate the fact that those courts certainly do look wonderful. So thank you so much for your support of our programs. And at this time it was our tennis students, and the courts look great. I hope you've been driving up there, or at least following me on Twitter, because I've been taking pictures all summer. It's been fun to watch it. And finally, just a reminder, I don't think I probably have to remind our parents, but maybe for the kids, our first day of school is Wednesday, August 17th, and we can hardly wait to see all of our Tigers return to our school district. We look forward to seeing everybody then. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Powers. Committee reports. Are there any committees that have reports tonight?
Not this time.
None at all? Okay, and finance was wrapped into our work session. We're good. Well, I'm gonna toss the ball back to you then, because I believe we have administrative reports. So.
Yes, Board of Education, this evening on the board agenda, we're asking for the approval of a new program called Naviance. And this evening, to introduce Naviance to you, are three instrumental people at our high school, and of course our Director of Curriculum, Mrs. Farthing. We also have Louise Tringle, the high school principal, and Tanya Brennan, who is one of our guidance counselors at the high school. A number of years ago, in central office, Mrs. Farthing and I were talking about Naviance and the possibility of bringing Naviance on board. But in all things in our school district, it takes a little bit of time to do some research and to have conversations with our neighbors and other school districts, talk through the contract with legal counsel, and we're very pleased this evening to introduce to you a little bit about Naviance and why this is a great program for Twinsburg High Schools. So good evening, Ms. Brennan. Glad that you're here, and Ms. Tringo and Mrs. Farthing.
Good evening, Board of Education. I'm Tanya Brennan. I'm one of the counselors at the high school. Thank you for having us this evening to talk a little bit about Naviance and give you an idea as to why we think this would be a good program for us to implement in our district. Just want to give you a little bit of an idea as to what Naviance is. It's a web-based program that would be utilized at the high school grades 9 through 12. The basic premise of this is that every student would have an online portfolio, so to speak, traveling with them from entrance of the high school in grade 9 through exit of the high school in grade 12. And we would be able to, as a guidance department and through administration and teachers, be able to collaboratively work with students and parents and staff and basically get them through high school with everything that they need, guiding them and keeping that all in one nice portfolio online that we're able to go back and to continue to look at and continue to assess throughout their 4 years in high school, and really basically get them off successfully and into the future, discuss their plans, and make sure that they are on the right track to where they need to be when they leave us from Twinsburg High School. It's a holistic platform with 4 dimensions. as you can see on the slide: self-discovery, career exploration, college and career preparation, and academic planning. With the self-discovery, we talk about who am I, setting goals, tracking their progress with their goals, really kind of seeing who they are. This will align nicely with our success class that we offer in 9th grade. It is a graduation requirement that all students are required to take, even students that transfer into us after 9th grade. If they transfer in as a sophomore, junior, or senior, they're still required to take the course. So they're always going to be getting this information through success. This will help assess their strengths, their weaknesses, their learning style, their personality type, and really just start to kind of build that basis of, what are their goals in high school, academically, personally, socially, and in the future. It does career exploration, which will allow us to really have some assessments. This is very key in 9th and 10th grade when we are looking at application for our CVCC program. Students right now are just basically going off individual discussions with counselors, parents, teachers, and we don't really have a solid career exploration assessment that is allowing them to really see what their interests are. And so this is going to be really nice to have that so that they can see where that lies, whether they are, for sure a four-year college goer, whether they still are a four-year college goer, if the CVCC program would be beneficial to them. It allows us to identify their strengths and what would be good for them to be looking at, not only if they're going to CVCC or not, or academically, what kind of courses should they be taking. So it will also allow them to update that every year, because things change, obviously, with kids and with all of us, but they'll be able to continually update that so that it's aligning correctly with their current interests. College and career preparation. It will allow them to create college lists. It allows them to research colleges directly from there. It allows us to keep our high school visits in line, allow them to make passes to see college visits that come to our high school, and it just really allows them to explore the college and career option, and it allows parents and counselors to be involved in that more immediately and more actively. Now we're meeting with students individually. As counselors, we do classroom guidance 4 times a year at least, within every 9 weeks in classrooms, and we do small groups and things of that nature, but this really allows us to see what they're doing on their own, because we have access to that. We can see their college list. We can add colleges to their list. We can see when they've applied. We can see if they haven't applied yet. We can see what scholarships they're looking at, and it allows parents the same access. So parents have an active role as well in seeing what kind of research the kids are doing on a day-to-day basis. Parents are allowed to add colleges to the list. We can give advice through Naviance. We can communicate that way as a web-based kind of a web page where we can be sending notifications. Parents will get emails, kids will get emails. Everything, as we know now, is moving towards technology. If we want to contact kids, the phone is the best way. If they get a text message or something that pops up on their phone, they're going to see that. This allows us to do that, and it allows everything to kind of be in one place that they can all go, and they don't have 5 different logins and have to access 5 different websites. They just have one website that they know that everything that they're going to need to be successfully guided through their high school career and planning into college is going to be right there for them. Easy access. Okay, academic planning allows us to put information up about their academic courses, credits that they need, requirements, where they're at. It allows us to put information about their college testing, ACT and SAT, PSAT. We're doing pre-ACT now as well. I believe that's in the works. So all of that will be there. Okay, yep, we can move to the next one. It is not a one-size-fits-all program. It's fit to the need of the school and what we want to use this for and what we want to communicate and customize the reports for. This is just a quick slide to give you an idea of the building blocks for success. Works on individualized learning plans, non-cognitive skills, and college knowledge. Basically all of the things that I kind of already went over: personality and interest inventories, career inventories, the college search, and planning, which is a huge piece. We have about 75 to 80% of our students that are going to four-year colleges right now at the high school, and so the fall is a super busy, active time, and kids are stressed, and the anxiety level is high, and for everybody involved, and so we're trying to alleviate that as well by keeping them organized and planning ahead, and this will allow us to do that in advance and us to continue to keep up with what we do. We do a lot of paper information to students now and packets, and so they're getting all this great information and taking it home, and then we at the school are not quite sure what's happening with that information afterwards. Are they following up? Until we see them when they come back to school and we have our individual meetings, this will just allow us to really kind of keep tabs and help guide them with questions that they may have as they're going through it. This is kind of small to see a little bit, but what this does basically is gives you an idea of all of the wonderful resources that Naviance will have for students by grade. The color schemes are blocked off too. If I can read this. The theme key, myself, is the blue. My success skills, my network, my career plan, my college plan, and my finances. Thank you. I was like, I knew those, but I can't quite read those. So there is something out of every facet that they will be able to utilize in each grade, 9 through 12. And you'll see, obviously, in 9th grade, that financial piece for college is quite small compared to the self-discovery piece in 9th grade. When you look at 12th grade, more of the college, pieces, the purples and the greens are more important and more utilized, and so it's broken down by grade level as to what is most important for them, and keeping them on a curriculum through guidance so that all counselors are, as we're working through class, that's how we work, as you all know, at the high school, so we're all keeping consistent with what the students are getting guidance-wise as well. All of their college applications will go through this process. Everything is online now. Many of you will be familiar with the Common Application. This will also process through Naviance. So transcripts are sent electronically. Things aren't getting lost in the mail. It's easy for parents and students to see when we as the school have sent things. Everything's documented, so there's no issue of, kids are coming in, they're saying that transcripts were sent. We're saying they were sent, they're lost. Universities are receiving so many transcripts that sometimes things get lost on their end. So this is just validation of when we're sending and kind of keeping that paper trail electronically. This would be a view of the student underneath the Common Application or the college application piece. As you can see, the colleges will be listed. Is it an application through the Common App? They will know that. Has their application been submitted? When was it submitted? When's the deadline to submit? Has the transcript been submitted? So it's all nicely listed on here so that we can pull up one student and the student can see what's happening. We can see what's happening. Have they been accepted or denied? So it just allows everything to be very nice and concise. This would be the teacher recommendation view. Teachers would submit recommendations through Naviance. Many of them submit it now through Common App. This is very similar. It will send through Common App, and then for any other universities that require a recommendation, teachers are able to send it through here. So then again, students are sending their teachers that request. Teachers receive that via email, so there's no question as to when they're seeing it and what's happening, and then students are able to see when their teacher has submitted it, so they're not trying to track them down and seeing that pieces of their application are missing. Okay, thank you very much.
Ms. Brennan, before you step down, not everyone has children at the high school, and the whole idea behind a common app might be unfamiliar. Can you just expound upon that a little bit? What does that mean?
Absolutely. So the Common App is a method of applying to universities. There are over 600 universities that use the Common Application, and basically it's a web-based application that you create one application and it can be sent to over the 600 schools of your choice. So it kind of allows things to be easier on students and on parents because they're only completing one application, and then that will be sent to all of the different universities. Some universities then require an additional letter of recommendation or an additional secondary form or something to their university. But then it also requires the counselor recommendation with that. So when they apply through the Common App, counselors are automatically doing a recommendation for them, and then the students are able to select the schools that they would like to apply just through that one application. So they're not going to 20 different websites and applying to different schools. They're basically selecting out of the one application that they complete.
And I think you mentioned, I may have misheard, if the colleges don't accept are they still on this program? So it may indicate a college that doesn't accept a Common App?
Correct, yes. They will still be able to apply through Naviance through that school's particular application site. Yes.
And from what I understand from the meeting that we had, this is a common tool used by many, many districts in our area, and it's a way for the counselors to keep on track with the children, and the parents can see the progress the kids are making, and so that these children, these students don't slip through loops and slip through the cracks on something important and vital that should have been done throughout the process.
Absolutely, yes, and it allows us to see, students that may not be actively doing the things that they should be doing on Naviance. Our plan to roll this out is to have a training for parents to make sure that they are aware of the program and how it works and how they log in and what they need to do and what the benefits are and what they'll be doing throughout grades 9 through 12. Same thing with students. We'll roll that out in smaller groups in classroom sizes so that we know that they're getting the information and what they need to be doing. So they will be aware of what's to be done. They will be doing it within Success class. We've thrown the idea around of doing it during English class through some things, because there are some programs that talk about their application and essay writing, and that would fit really nicely into the curriculum that we already do in our English classes. So maybe doing some of that, and then us as guidance counselors, this will just be a nice way for us to go in what we're already doing with them in guidance sessions and kind of having that information right at hand and them being able to be aware and know what's going on. So then we can go in and look, and if students aren't quite doing or they're slipping through the cracks and not doing what they need to be doing, then we can identify those kids and call them in and make sure that we're on top of them and make sure that they're doing what they need to be successful, whatever route that might be. They might not necessarily be a four-year college kid, but we need to make sure that they're working towards the plans that they have and that their parents have for after high school.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
So, now, I just had a quick question. So as far as, because I know one of the questions is going to be the data privacy, is that, is the only way information is if these students are sending it, there's no way for anyone to access it? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's
so sorry.
part of.
Okay.
It's okay. Jen's going to take over those questions. Okay.
Mrs. Davis, I'm so glad you brought that up. I can share a parent's perspective. In the busy world we live in, our working parents, I just want to be reminded, because I have two daughters, one of which forgets everything since second grade or lunch, a field trip permission slip, whatever. And if I just had an email or a text that would remind me that someone, that in my house is going to have a field trip, I would have been happy as a clam. My youngest one had Naviance at her school, and absolutely, it was just, for me, an organizational tool as a parent, especially in navigating all of the options for schools beyond high school. And I think our parents, the career piece was there, but as a parent, to be honest, I didn't use it till 11th and 12th grade, because I would get reminders. These colleges are coming to the campus, and we're going to do the same thing. We have a lot of announcements that go out. I'll hear students say, I didn't hear the announcements in my class. My daughter would say, I didn't hear the announcement. I didn't know Kent State was coming. I didn't know OU was coming. Listen, this is wonderful, because I was sitting, you sit at your desk, cling, bing, you need your parent brag sheet. It's due this Friday. Okay, thank you. Go home. Oh, here, I have to hand you the parent brag sheet. Oh, thanks. I was just going to remind you. Everything is there for the parent as well. And if I know that our students, we teach them organizational skills. We teach them time management. But this is one tool to help them stay organized in this and navigating this process that, let's face it, through high school, you're going to have a lot of demands, and our kids are spread in so many ways, and so are our parents. And to have that little ding come on your emails or a text that says something's due, I think that would be a pleasure for our parents. So that's my parent. I'm wearing a different hat tonight, but I thought I would share that about Naviance.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Board of Education. Just to give you a little background, maybe more on the nuts and bolts of the program. One of the additional pieces that we are purchasing is called AchieveWorks, and AchieveWorks is an assessment that the students will take 3 times over and it's not a typical assessment, not OST or not MAP, but an assessment that the student will take that it's going to help the student drive what they're going to do in the future. It is going to help them understand their personality, about their learning styles, and their intelligences. And together that will give a profile of the student's strengths and weaknesses. There is an additional component that we will not be purchasing, and that is called career keys. And this was something we discussed in great detail at the curriculum and technology meeting. The career keys is a little more prescriptive, and that's not a path that we want to take at this time. But AchieveWorks is something that we think will help drive the student's success in the future, and this is a piece of the puzzle to help us do that. In addition, during the meeting, we discussed the student privacy. Naviance has a new privacy policy that went into effect on June 23rd. And when we met on July 18th, we were talking about the student privacy pledge, which we've talked about in the past. And it just so happened that on July 18th, Naviance signed that policy. And we didn't know that until probably almost a week afterwards. But Hobson's is the company that owns Naviance, and Hobson signed that privacy policy as Naviance on that day. So again, that's worried, so we can be rest assured that they're doing everything they can to protect our students' data. And then as an item to note, we have control over what we send to Naviance. So that's something that district-wide, there will be some communication with Dazzle, but we will control what parts of the data we want to send. So the student's SSID are things that we will not be sending, name, first name, last initial, something to that effect. So we will only be sending what we want to send to Naviance. We will, as Mrs. Powers mentioned, we're a little bit behind because this process has been taking a long time, but we wanted to roll it out properly. But we believe we'll be able to begin some face-to-face trainings on some of our days. For example, with a curriculum day or a day-to-day, we should be able to start our training in early September for the counselors. And then as soon as we get our back end set up, we will roll it out to our students and families. And then as one of the other points that we talked about at the meeting on July 18th was that families will have the ability to look at the same information that the students will look at. So it's nothing being done secretively, that it's the same, and parents will have access to what their students are working on in Naviance. Okay. Are there any questions?
The only question I have, and this may be more administratively, and it may be a point of order, do we have a contract number? I didn't see in the resolution. And I'm just seeing that oversight now. I'm not sure if we're supposed to have a dollar amount. If we don't have it, we may need to make an amendment to J4 when that comes up on the agenda.
It's in the exhibit, J4.
Is it in the exhibit? Okay. Just want to make sure that. I didn't know if it needed to be in the language because I saw the one.
Oh,
Never mind.
You're referencing it.
I'm sorry?
It's being referenced there.
That's fine. Just want to make sure that we're
And
not
again, as
going to
we
read a resolution that doesn't have a
talk
right.
about multiple times that Chad worked with us to work with the vendor to secure the best pricing possible. Sure. And the reason we are working with a 5-year contract is because they said that typically their prices raise between 5 and 10% each year. So we're locking in at this year's price for the next 5 years. So, and this year our price is a little higher because the training component that they provide is incredible. So they're going to make sure that this is a success for us. They have webinars, we have face-to-face, and then we have call, phone, and support. So their whole goal is to make this successful for us. So that cost is included for year one, and then in the future, then we have the call-in support as we need it. But I think once we get through year one, we'll be in good shape.
Okay. Is that one last question? I'm just thinking now as you're talking about years, students that transfer in or transfer out, do they have access to it if they transfer to a district that doesn't have it, or if they go to a district that does have it? Can that? Maybe that's not a question for
I think
tonight,
if once they left us, they would not have
They would
access
not.
to their account anymore. But when students enroll mid-year, we will create an account
Okay.
for them.
So
they
if they go
can start
district to district with.
And if they go district to district with a district that has Naviance, I'm sure we'll
I was
work
just-
that out.
not
So
a-
they still
not
have their
expecting an
profile.
answer tonight.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about that.
Question, curious. I know that for the CVCC and students who are in the CVCC, there are certain programs that are connected with respect to the report card indicator for career, prepare for success. Is the information that can be gleaned from students' participation and what they have in Naviance, is any of that usable for purposes of that indicator?
Right, at this time, we would probably not, because at this time, access is only for our staff, so I don't think we would have CVCC staff having access, except for the case of a teacher reference and a teacher recommendation, and teacher recommendations have very limited
Right.
views to what they can see, so,
Okay.
thank you.
Other questions?
Yeah, I just got a couple. So, so currently, a lot of it is being done manually, and I mean, I've been through the process, but I think some parents haven't been. So, just as far as for the, I saw transcripts are $5. Is that $5 for transcripts?
That is just a sample. That document that you're
Oh,
looking at,
okay.
Mrs. Turl-Waldron, is just a sample. I found it
Understood.
online. It kind of walked through a whole senior year package, and I just wanted you to see that. So that's
Okay.
not our policy yet. I just wanted to see you to see what another district rolled out. So,
Okay, because
thank you.
I was under the impression that that was not currently something we did, and I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, they're
if
$1
we
right
have-
now.
yeah,
So and once
okay.
it's online, it wouldn't be a charge because it'll just go
Okay.
through cyberspace.
And then, just because, since Rob brought up the fee, I think people are gonna, have questions as to, is it a per student fee? Is it a contract fee?
It is a per student fee,
Okay.
and it's rated based on how many students we have at the high school right now. And
Okay.
we will be using funding that we receive from AP testing. So we have a testing account at the high school that when students take AP exams, a portion of that exam money comes back to the district. It's not a lot, but there is a portion that comes back, and over time that fund has built up. But we haven't used it to do any purchases of equipment or anything, so we've kind of let this fund build up, and that's what we're able to use for the first major purchase for this
And
first
so
year.
so there's not a hard number that you're able to give as far as per student, or?
Oh, boy. I can provide that to Mrs. Powers.
Okay,
because it's
just so
not
that,
mine.
since it was brought up, I just want to make sure the community.
They actually
knows what
broke
we're
it down
spending.
by month and everything. So
Okay.
right now, I don't want to give an incorrect figure, but they broke it down per student per month, and I will just give an overall number to Mrs. Powers.
Further questions? All right, thank you, ladies, appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Mrs. Powers, anything further, Mr. Ayler?
Not this evening.
All right, Mr. Aho, any blue cards in front of you? All right. We're going to move on to H, Treasurer's Report and Recommendations, and without objection from my colleagues, I'll read H1, 2, and 3 together. H1, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the following meeting minutes, the regular meeting of July 13th, 2016, and a special meeting of July 27th, 2016, is sent to the board under separate cover. H2, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education accepts the following financial reports for the month of June 2016: bank reconciliation, general fund financial summary report, financial report by fund, as sent to the board under separate cover. And H3, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education accepts the check register for the month of June 2016. The total, including payroll, is $4,035,351.47. Is there a motion for those three as read?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Curtis. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Davis. Any discussion? Questions? Mr. Aho, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Curtis?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Solera?
Yes.
Mrs. Turl-Waldron?
Yes.
Mr. Felber?
Yes. And those three items pass 5-0. Action items personnel. Again, without objection from my colleagues, I will read I-1, 2, and 3 together. I-1, resolve that the Twinsburg Board of Education accepts the certificated licensed personnel and/or contract recommendations detailed in the attached Exhibit I-1 as per the dates, terms, and other applicable conditions specified pending satisfactory ORC background checks. I-2, resolve that the Twinsburg Board of Education accepts the classified personnel and/or contract recommendations detailed in the attached Exhibit I-2 as per the dates, terms, and other applicable conditions specified pending satisfactory ORC background checks. And finally, I-3, resolve that the Twinsburg Board of Education accepts the supplemental contract recommendations detailed in the attached Exhibit I-3 as per the dates, terms, and other applicable conditions specified pending satisfactory ORC background checks. Is there a motion for those three as read?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Slur. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Davis. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Solera?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Turl Waldron,
Yes.
Mr. Curtis,
Yes.
Mr. Felber,
Yes, and those three items pass 5-0. Section J, without objection from my colleagues, I will read all 10.
Can
J-
you go ahead and separate for just because I still have questions on it?
So you want
J4.
J4 separate?
Yeah,
Okay.
please, thank you.
So without objection, I'll read J1, 2, and 3 together. J1, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the 2016-2017 Twinsburg City School District Athletic Handbook as sent to the board under separate cover. J2, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the below list of equipment at the Twinsburg High School to be deleted from inventory, and the list is in your agenda. And J3, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education adopts the purchases Twinsburg, Ohio timeline by D. Dursing and the Twinsburg Historical Society at the cost of $12 each for a third grade social studies classroom resource at Samuel Bissell Elementary School. The adoption was approved by the District Curriculum and Technology Committee on July 18th. This is a city-county fund expenditure. Is there a motion for those three as read?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Curtis. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Solera. Questions, anything from Curriculum and Technology on J3?
No, I'll just touch briefly. I failed to say that we did meet on the 18th. This timeline that they're bringing to the third graders, we had a sample of one to look at, and it's very visually appealing, and it has tons of pictures on historical sites, important people in Twinsburg, and it's something that, yes, if you want to look at this, it's really a great tool for the kids, and it's something that I might even be curious to purchase because it tells me more about Twinsburg that I didn't know. I think it's just going to be something very beneficial for our third graders, and it's better than some of the things I've seen out there. And, you know, of course, it's applicable because it's our city, our
Sure.
But it's going to be easy for the kids to read and understand, and it's if you have a chance to look at it, it's something that I think is going to be a big plus for our kids.
Thank you. Any further questions or discussions on those three?
Just on number one, the handbook, I just want to thank the administration for getting that document put together. I know it was probably a time, quite a bit of time was put into that, and I think it gives our parents, our athletes, and just our students that may have not in the past had the availability to get a full picture of some of the athletics that are available. So it's a well-written document. It covers the rules. It covers how to letter. And like I said, I think it just gives everyone a very clear and precise understanding of the program. So thank you very much, everyone that put that together. I think it's a great addition. Thank you.
Any further comments?
No, I would like to echo that as a member of the committee. I know it was a huge undertaking to work with all of our athletic sports as well as other activities that we made the decision to kind of combine all of that and to put it into one comprehensive document. Really appreciate it. I think it's going to make things a lot easier with respect to what the expectations are on both the district as well as our parents.
All right. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Curtis,
Yes.
Mr. Solera,
Yes.
Mrs. Davis,
Yes.
Mrs. Turl Waldron,
Yes.
Mr. Felber,
Yes. And that item passes 5-0. J4, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves a contract with Naviance, Inc. for college and career readiness software for students at the Twinsburg High School. The adoption was approved by the District Curriculum and Technology Committee on July 18, 2016. This is a general fund expenditure as sent to the board under separate cover. Is there a motion for J4?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Davis. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Solera. Discussion?
Yeah, I love the idea of this program. I just had a senior last year. I think it's great that there's an organizational tool that's going to help the parents and the students. I love everything about it. Because it was brought up, I just would like, is there any anyone that would be able and willing to just give a number of some sort financially,
Sure.
what the obligation is going to be?
So with regard to initial implementation and training, which means setting up the infrastructure for this to work, it's $15,743.56 or 50 cents, and that's also for the first year of the students using it. We would be invoiced for the 16-17 school year, that amount of money. The second year, it is $4,440.45, and then the same amount of money for the 18-19 school year. Starting in 1920, it bumps up slightly to $4,791.50. And then the same amount would be for the 2021 school year. So this contract would get us through the 2021 school year. Obviously, anytime we purchased new programs on the front end of things, there's always cost to set the structure, do the training, and then obviously get the students and the parents involved following the staff introduction. So those are the numbers that we have for the contract for Naviance.
Perfect. Okay, and I think it's a great investment in our kids. Anything that is going to make a direct impact on them like that, for me, that's a good investment. So I think it's a great program. I just wanted clarity so that there wasn't any gray area. So I think it's an excellent investment, and I appreciate you guys bringing it forward. I think it's a great addition for our kids.
Any further questions? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Solera?
Yes.
Mrs. Turl Waldron?
Yes.
Mr. Curtis?
Yes.
Mr. Felber?
Yes. And J4 passes 5-0. Without objection from my colleagues, I'll read 5 through 10. J5, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education adopts and approves the pilot purchase of the Leveled Literacy Intervention Program for grades 4 through 8 at a cost of $50,255.57. This adoption was approved by the District Curriculum and Technology Committee on July 18th. This is a Title I expenditure as sent to the board under separate cover. J6, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the daily rate for the position of substitute maintenance supervisor at $225. J7, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the sale of 5 school buses.
Mr. Felber?
I'm sorry.
That goes to the permanent improvement part of the agenda.
I'm sorry?
So you want to take 5 and 6 separately?
No, we did. Well, we didn't. We can. They're not.
Okay.
I mean, we can. I'm sorry. There's a point.
Typically, we take the permanent improvement expenditures separately.
Yeah, it wasn't separate. Oh, you know what? My bad. I turned the page very quickly. We will stop there. See if there's a second for. I'm sorry. Approval for 5 and 6 as read.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Slur. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Davis. Any questions on those two as read?
Just a thank you. You know, we pass a lot of dollars for programs here in this district, and you know, a thank you to the effort that's put out, and you know, with this level literacy intervention. You know, again, we talk about that all the time. Our administration, our teachers, our counselors noticed an issue. They worked through it, they studied it, figured it out, and they're bringing this program forward to help the students, you know, who need a little extra help. So, you know, I appreciate that. I also appreciate the ability to find dollars to be able to do these programs, you know, and work within our budget. So, you know, again, thank you. You know, programs like this, while they are an expense, you know, they go to what we do, and that's benefit the kids and teach the kids. So, you know, I appreciate that, and I just think everybody needs to understand the thought and the process that goes behind things like this. It's not done very quickly, and it's not done, you know, without thinking of the entire picture. So,
Thank you. Further comments? No. All right. Roll call, please.
Mr. Solera?
yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Turl Waldron?
Yes.
Mr. Curtis?
Yes.
Mr. Felber?
Yes. And J5 and 6 only pass 5-0. I missed the voting block. That's why I was turning the page real quick. Now, without objection, I will read 7 through 10. J7, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the sale of 5 buses as denoted in your agenda and the 1995 Chevy Red pickup truck determined to be beyond their useful life, which will be sold through the online auction Bus Movers and More of Euclid, Ohio, in the net amount of $20,500 $456.24. These funds will be returned to the Permanent Improvement Fund. J8, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the change orders from Burton Scott Contractors of Newbury, Ohio for the paving and drainage replacement projects at the Twinsburg City School District tennis courts, R.B. Chamberlain Middle School, and Twinsburg Tiger Stadium at a cost not to exceed $24,104.82. Change orders number 1 and number 2 address drainage items at the Twinsburg Tiger Stadium and the new parking lot, and change order number 3 addresses soft subgrade at the tennis courts and the new parking lot. Change order 4 compensates the district for the use of a security liaison to oversee a portion of the project. This is a permanent improvement expense. J9, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the make-up air unit replacement project at R.B. Chamberlain Middle School with CCG Automation of Richfield, Ohio, through a state term schedule contract in the amount of $12,410.00 as sent to the board under separate cover. This is a permanent improvement expenditure. And finally, J10, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the make-up air unit purchase at R.B. Chamberlain Middle School from Klein Mechanical of Barberton, Ohio, in the amount of $6,013.00. This is a permanent improvement expense. Is there a motion for those 4 as read?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Curtis. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Solera. Any comments from Chad? And this is kind of your world. Change orders are the the nature of the business. Sometimes things are found.
Yeah.
Is this the case here?
Yeah. The bus disposal, I'm very excited to get as much money as we did, especially considering a 1995 Fred pickup truck and also 2 buses that we had taken a number of parts off of before selling. So, and not use the other one. So we were quite pleased with that. And for the change orders, trying to increase the durability of our parking lot and the tennis courts, we definitely encountered some soft subgrade. Worked through that quite a bit to, I think, minimize the effect of that. So I was actually pretty pleased with that. And then we wound up addressing some pretty big drainage items at Tiger Stadium as well. And then the makeup air unit installation, just to show variances of pricing. We had a quote for $34,000 compared to this that's $18,000. So quite a wide variance of when we're looking at different things. And again, wound up separating the 2 contracts so that we bought directly from a supplier, and wound up allowing us to save some money going that methodology. So that's the makeup air unit that goes on our new roof at RBC. So.
Thank you. And while we always appreciate the continued price pressure, this is another perfect example of the pressure the Permanent Improvement Fund is under when expenses like this hit. It's hard to do a 5-year permanent improvement plan on all items, and this is something that has to happen. We say it all the time: safe, warm, and dry, and this has to be there. So not everything can always be done in permanent improvement. Sometimes things have to be pushed back when things like this happen. But I appreciate the continued price pressure negotiation that you're doing. Any further questions on those?
No.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Curtis?
Yes.
Mr. Solera?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Turl Waldron?
Yes.
Mr. Felber?
Yes. And those 4 items pass 5-0. We are now at miscellaneous, and I'm going to start off with just a quick shout out to the Twinsburg Chamber and the Historical Society on their brand new book. I just purchased it tonight. A lot of our local photography, some that may even be in this room, and then probably go a nice companion piece to this other thing. But this is another beautiful representation of Twinsburg, and I know it was a lot of hard work in coming, and I believe all the proceeds directly benefit just the Chamber and the Historical Society, two great organizations in town, as well as partners in many times with the schools. So just want to give a shout out to that. I think those can be purchased at the Chamber. I'm not sure at City Hall also, but definitely the Chamber, Mark? Yep. Anything else from miscellaneous?
Yeah, I just wanted to.
No, I was just going to say.
Just last night, the police officer and fire the night out. It was a great event. I loved that it was a combination of the schools, and the police force and fire force being there. Really neat experience watching them compete against each other, and from what I understand, a very good turnout. I believe over 700 people attended. So it was nice to see the community together. It was nice to see some physical activity, and it just was a nice event. So I just wanted to give a shout out to that committee that put that together. They did a very nice job. And also, just in talking with Mayor Yates, he's kind of telling me some of the initiatives that they've taken in the city as far as, helping some of their employees, just get healthier, and just kind of throwing it out there. I would love to sit at the table maybe with the mayor at some point and see if some of those initiatives could be incorporated into our school district as well. So the wellness thing is definitely something they're focusing on, and I'd really love to see some of those things implemented for our staff and employees. So,
Anything further?
Mr. Felber, this evening I presented to each of the board members a copy of the Cleveland Business Connects for July and August. And the reason we did that is on page 10 of the magazine is an article about the workforce initiative that the school district is partnering with the Twinsburg Chamber of Commerce and Kent State University and the CVCC. And the importance of this is what we're hearing from local businesses, and in particular our manufacturing businesses in town, is that they're having difficulty finding employees to work in their facilities. In fact, there's a bit of a shortage. And so what we have done just about 2 weeks ago, Mrs. Tringo, Mrs. Farthing, and I met with the committee at the Twinsburg Chamber House that is going to be working together with staff at the high school to develop an internship program for our students beginning as juniors. And the thought is that they would have a summer experience working at some of these local businesses, building some skills and giving back to the businesses through their efforts. And it would be a program where the shadowing would be monitored. There would be checkups with the students throughout the summer months and then through the senior year. And of course, we have the senior symposium and the senior project as well. But this would be in addition to that, a platform of opportunities that we offer our students. We really do appreciate the Chamber taking a lead on this one, and Kent State and CVC they're always great partners with us. And I will keep you posted as this initiative moves forward. A lot of great local business owners that are very important to our community and are very interested in making sure that this is a huge success. So we look forward to working with that group to make the workforce initiative come alive here at Twinsburg High School.
Excellent, thank you. Any further comments from Ms. Lanius?
Yes. First, I want to piggyback on that. I know that there was discussion around this at the last Vision 8 meeting, and it's really nice to see that some things have come to fruition, not just talk, but planning and implementation. So I'm looking forward to see what happens, or at least the outcome. I also want to make some comments relative to online charter schools, and this has kind of been the theme of which I have chosen to make sure that I keep front and center with respect to the district and also the community. Throughout the school year, I've expressed concern about online charter schools and their impact on our school district. Currently, over $200,000 per year is deducted from our coffers for students who reside in our district and choose to attend an online charter school. As has been stated previously, we receive approximately $1,000 per student from the state, yet they deduct over $5,000 per student who chooses to attend an online charter school. The Ohio Department of Education has conducted 2 audits of online charter schools, whereby it was discovered that hundreds of thousands of dollars were paid for students who were not there. As a result, they were forced to repay these funds. Most recently, the department has attempted to conduct a similar audit of ECOT, Ohio's largest online charter school, with an enrollment of over 15,000 students. It is suspected that ECOT is being paid for 5 hours per day of student participation time, while the average verifiable time is 1 hour. Last year, this online charter school was paid $108 million in taxpayer dollars for these 15,000 students. ECOT has attempted to avoid playing by the same rules as other online charters by refusing to provide records to the Ohio Department of Education for review and verification. The owner, Mr. William Lager, has made significant financial contributions to many members of Ohio's General Assembly and has been able to avoid being held to the same standard as other online charters. Twinsburg community, it is high time that ECOT be held accountable and submit to audit requests just as any other public education entity must. These are your tax dollars, and you have the right to know how they are being used. We as a board have been very conscientious in the decisions that we make in spending our money. Students attend school regularly with an almost 97% attendance rate, yet we receive a fraction of what ECOT receives in state foundation funding. I've made calls to both Representative Rogner's office as well as Senator LaRose to discuss this matter as well as other things that I have interest in. I strongly encourage you to do the same. To date, our governor and leaders of both the Ohio Senate and House have remained silent on this issue. This cannot be allowed to continue. Please let my comments be a call to action. We can do better, and we must do better. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Curtis. And I may note that, again, we're in the business of education, and while it may have looked to some as an empty gesture, we did bill the state, for this a number of months ago. I don't have the exact date, to the tune of $2 million plus, I believe it was, Marty. We're not expecting a check, as I said at that time, but that was done specifically to educate, and thank you, Mr. Curtis, for continuing to bring this issue to light and with the additional detail that you did tonight. Thank you. Any further comments from miscellaneous? All right, I'm going to go ahead and make the motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Davis. Is there roll call, please? No discussion. Adjourn.
Mr. Felber?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Solera?
Yes.
Mrs. Terrell Waldron?
Yes.
Mr. Curtis?
Yes.
By a vote of 5-0, we are adjourned. Have a wonderful evening.
I just looked at it in detail.